What that experience was for the people, you couldn't move in there.
Yeah, it was crazy. You would walk on and it was just wall-to-wall humanity. Can't see too bad, come earlier and sit through 3 supports. That's what people that wanted
I
that
used to
front
do
position.
that. I would not pee for hours.
Oh my God, the opposite of OH and S. Neil Finn, I did some writing with him in New York, and we got into talking about the process a little bit, and he said, I have a lot of naps on the couch in the studio, and that's where a lot of my songs come, on the couch, the nap. Just a comment that one of my band members made, it was like, you really like change, when you drink at gigs. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they just mentioned about, you throw chairs around like when you come off stage. Adrenaline and any other thing is a really dangerous combination. Anyway, kombucha is kind of like what I have on my rider now. Kombucha and it's honey and lemon. I'm so boring now. Yeah, I stopped drinking coffee because it was just not... It was making me really productive in the morning, and then I would just kind of crash out a bit, and then I was starting to do it in the afternoon as well, and then I just wasn't sleeping well. And yeah, my therapist just said, well, maybe, got me onto this sleep hygiene thing. And it's like people, when I tell that to people, they're like, what? Sleep hygiene? And it's just all the things that people, he goes, look, I see these kind of, how does he describe me? He rolls his eyes and goes, yeah, eastern suburbs bankers who wonder why they can't sleep when they're like doing so much coffee every day, and then looking at their phone all day, and then going to bed looking at their phone and wondering why they can't sleep. It's just like, I wasn't doing all of those, but it's kind of like, yeah, there is sort of a thing about, wondering, like people that go, like, just do all the wrong things and then get into bed and then wonder why they can't.
Yeah.
And it's like when you've got kids, you do the bath.
Yeah.
You sort of start winding them down. Well, as adults, we kind of need to do that to ourselves to a certain degree. No more phones after a certain time. My phone goes over there, the sun goes down, whatever it is. Don't make decisions at night when the sun goes down, all that shit. It's old school. Yeah. Whatever it is, it can wait till tomorrow. And then just start winding yourself down, dim the lights, get excited about bed instead of terrified about bed.
Yeah.
Like, oh, great, I'm going to go to bed.
Oh, man.
Can't wait.
Sleep is my favorite drug.
Yeah, me too.
It is my favorite drug.
And getting all, I have my, shower again at night, using a cold shower, just get the room to the right temperature. It's like, thankfully, I have air conditioning. I don't have to live in a country that is so hot. I mean, you would acclimate to that anyway, but yeah, the room has to be like 21 degrees and all that sort of thing for my body to operate. All of those things, and then and then just accepting if it doesn't, if all goes wrong, not to freak out.
Yeah.
Not to like get all like catastrophize. I
wouldn't
wouldn't say I'm perfect at it, but none of those things had been put on my radar. And once they were put on my radar, it was like, do I do that? Yes, tick. Do I do that? Oh yeah, I do that, tick. So once you become aware of all these shitty habits, it's, and the best analogy is like, because, you and I have had kids and we know that whole like, let's get these kids chilled out.
Yeah.
And you can't just do it like that. It takes about 90 minutes,
Yeah. The ruthless part is that because I've got shit to do, I can't be on the same tempo. I have to then wake up at 8 p.m. after I fall asleep from reading Emma's story and then do all the other shit. So, which is a drag. I've
got years of memories of in New York, like when they were little, just like that. I just love that feeling of like reading a book and you'd both crash out, and that would be my first part of my sleep. Then I'd get up and clean the place, do all the kitchen and everything up post dinner, and then I would like chill out for a bit, watch something, read something, and then go to bed. But my sleep was like, 2 parts.
Yeah.
First bit was the story reading book around 8:30.
Oh, it's the greatest.
Oh, it's great.
I do miss it. When you were talking about coffee before, I thought for a second, what if that Guns N' Roses song wasn't about heroin and actually was about coffee?
It's Mr. Brownstone.
Mr. Brownstone might have been coffee, because I used to do a little, but the little wouldn't do it, so the little got more and more.
You've seen Kicking and Screaming, right?
No, what is it?
Will Ferrell. It's Kicking and Screaming. It's really hilarious because his dad is like a real serious soccer pro, I guess he might have been, but then he ends up not being so great at sport, and he coaches his son's team, and his dad is just like this real asshole, kind of like, you never, just puts shit on him constantly. He's a grown man with a son. He's got this losing, it's like Bad News Bears, kind of like just the worst soccer team. And he doesn't drink coffee, and someone mentions something to him, or he just tweaks and goes, I'm going to try a coffee. and then he turns into this like awesome coach, and then he's just going back to the coffee place, and he gets to the point where the coffee dispensary just goes, sorry sir, we can't serve you.
Wow.
Because he's just so cranked
cut
up.
off.
Yeah. And he starts laying into like customers and what's wrong with that? Like
He's not wrong.
yeah, just going, and it's just my kids like made the joke about that's me. They're like, Dad, that's you. So
Yeah, you do.
one day I was like in the studio and it was like 4:30. And I said to my son, I'm like, do you want a coffee? And he's like, Dad, it's 4:30. Like, and I'm like, and I answered like, yeah, and so, I got all like offended. Like, what's wrong with that?
That'll.
Because you become like, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh man, when I first stopped drinking, the guy that helps me along the way, and I was like, man, I'm just drinking a lot of coffee lately. And he goes, it's okay, one thing at a time, man.
Yeah,
we'll
right.
get to the cafe.
Well, they give you cigarettes in rehab. In the US anyway, like that big one out in the desert where
the Arizona one.
Nikki
yeah.
Sixx went,
Well, that's the one that works. That's why those guys are still
with
alive.
the rattlesnakes. They're like, it's like if you think about leaving, it's like, go ahead. There's just desert
Rattlesnakes and
out there.
coyotes, and you'll
Yeah,
die.
exactly. And
Yeah.
102 degree heat.
There's one place in Australia that uses that model.
We could do plenty of those here.
Unfortunately, because it's a South
You wouldn't
Pacific.
even have to go that far. You could just go to the Western Plains out where the Dubbo, like where the Western Plains Zoo is, just do one there.
Yeah, that'd be all right. But I think it's more also the model of it.
Yeah.
The way they do it. Rehab is it's a tricky thing because anyone would pay any money to
totally.
save their child.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's
it's
unregulated industry.
It's
rife
really
with
unregulated.
shysters.
It's a bit like people that, charge a fortune to make tracks for people, like,
Oh, yeah.
sure, come in, we'll record a song for you, charge them some ridiculous price because it's like this, it's all kind of like mystic and smoke and mirrors. People don't really know.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, 200,000 and you'll be clean and sober. And people will pay anything, like you said.
Yeah,
it's a big industry.
I've sat next to people like 19. It was one guy I'll never forget. He was 19, and his parents blew something like 150K on a joint in Thailand. It was their super,
150K
Yeah.
is a lot of money in Thai.
Yeah.
Thai baht.
Dude. And he was back in the rooms because he wasn't clean. He had gone out again. And I'm like, fucking hell,
Terrible
man.
place to like leave rehab.
But I think he went out. He came back here, and then of
Right.
course, nothing changes. He's back around everything,
Yeah.
the same routines, the same people, the same, instigations, the same catalysts, and that's why some models of rehab really don't work. And it sucks how
Yeah.
unregulated it is, and that
Yeah.
the health department isn't more on top of it. But one thing at a time. We have an imperfect healthcare system, but it's far fucking better
Well,
than
look,
living in the States, man.
At least you can make fill out a pretty. I mean, you just answer some questions and stuff, and you can get a set of therapy, a course of therapy sessions for. I mean, you still have to pay something, but
Oh my God, the
healthcare
mental
picks
health
it
plan
up.
in Australia
'Cause you
is-
have nothing in America.
Get it.
Like nothing. You just pay. You have to just pay.
I lived there for 10
Unless
years.
you have healthcare.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how much healthcare. Like I know that we had like a pretty top tier healthcare in New York, and it didn't even cover dental. It was
Yeah.
like, so I doubt it would cover mental health.
Yeah.
Mental health.
When you came in here, I had to ask you if we've met.
Yeah.
And you said, yeah, a couple of times.
Oh, that's good. I remember.
Yeah. Well, also, it's quite significant as to how little. I remember being. No, you mentioned a poker game that used to happen at Jane and Jimmy's place.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. And I remember being over by I'll never forget, have these moments when you're drinking. Some of them, like literally years go by, I can't recall. And then I have these moments, and I'll never forget. I walk in with a 6-pack, all right, to Jimmy fucking Barnes's house, who was very clean at the time.
Well, that's a nice gesture to always bring something.
No, it was for me. I wouldn't buy. I'm bringing anything for the guests because I was just, I'm the selfish addict. And I was like, "Where's your fridge, mate?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's over here." And he goes, you made some room in the fridge. You know, there's 17 people living there. So he shoves, and I put it in there, and I said, yeah, I'm really thinking about what you're doing. He goes, oh, it's amazing, the clarity. I was like, okay, great. Roll.
Yeah.
All right, where's the table?
Yeah.
And that's why I don't remember meeting you there.
Well, yeah.
Which sucks, but...
Well, I wasn't at the table, so if that makes you feel any better.
Right, I remember.
I'm terribly... I've a real deficit when it comes to focusing on any game at all, so...
Fair. But I did really like the exposure to what they have built there, and it's something you've been a part of for many years now, but a multi-generational compound of everyone living together, which would get on your tits in some ways, but also be an incredible foundation.
Not a lot. Surprisingly, not a lot. I mean, I came from a large family. So
Youngest of 7.
Yeah, so I know what it's like to be kind of in a house, very small house that we were. We never had big houses, actually. No matter what it was always, you know, less bedrooms than what we needed. But we would just double up and triple up and whatever, and, you know, always just the one bathroom. But, yeah, it's you know, not that strange to me to kind of that family feeling. And, you know, going to Thailand very early on when I met Jeb, it was kind of seeing how they have her relatives over there do these sort of compounds. And it's a very European kind of thing. I think it's pretty much everywhere in the world except for like Anglo countries, where this sort of idea of like success or comes hand in hand with like separation from the rest of your clan. Yeah. It's just like, well, we're successful. We can have our own house over there. And, you know, relatives are over there. And funny enough, we don't see them much, you know, they're only like a couple of Ks away.
And our relationships are fraught.
It's terrible, you know, like, I mean, I was thinking as I headed over here, I'm heading along Queen's Park there, one of my school buddies lived like, you know, 300 meters from when I was living over there. And, just because it was so busy, you know, at that point, you know, I remember thinking at the time, damn, I should be seeing more of him, but it just didn't happen because you just don't, you can be just that much away, let alone 200 Ks or 12,000 Ks, and you just don't get in each other's, you know, lives. So being in that compound, you can't help it, you know. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law in New York, we ended up in the one building on Broadway, and they were on Mercer Street, and it was just by happenstance because we'd lived on Spring Street before that, and then she told us, my sister-in-law Kate, oh, there's one coming up, see if you can grab it, you know. And it was a Korean artist that was moving out, and this was when he was still artist in residence, was the way you got in. So I had to prove I was a creator, obviously not a visual artist, but creator of music. So I had to put my resume, kind of like my body of work, into this board and whatever. Anyway, got in, and it's all gone now. That whole system, it's all like just money. But yeah, we got in, and there was a fire door between our two lofts, and you know, for babysitting it was just perfect because we're going out now, leave the fire door ajar, you know, like kids are snoozing, and we end up like years of like probably 15 years later, end up again in warehouses with a fire door between us. I mean, what are the chances? It's like this fire door thing just keeps happening. So what would you say to people about? I love it. I love that, you know. Also, it's great when you need 2 eggs, you know.
Yeah. Can you get enough space when people are giving each other the earrings?
Oh, totally. I mean, we're so blessed. We've got plenty of space. I mean, and, you know, there was one night where I was like looking at my wife, Jeb, and going, who are you? Because it was like getting on to midnight. I think this was in lockdown. We're all doing some crazy stuff, you know, to keep ourselves occupied. And Scott, my brother-in-law, decided he was going to start renovating a window at like 1:45. It was like bang, bang, bang. And Jeb was just like going, I'm going to call the police. And I'm like, Jeb, you can't do that. It's like, she was joking, but kind of half serious.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and then we call Kay, and Kay's got the headphones on. I can actually see that it was like something out of Sims. You remember the Sims?
The
it's
game,
like you can see everybody from an aerial view. And I can see my sister-in-law with headphones on, facing the opposite way to Scott, who's like doing this, and she's watching a fencing championship or something in Europe, you know, because it's like 3 a.m.
ESPN 8,
whatever. Yeah. Well, it's whatever it is, because it was getting on to midnight. And she's like, I didn't know. It's like she couldn't even hear that was going on. anyway, it all stopped and everything. So there's a bit of that, but we're, I mean, that's the only, I guess, thing is you do hear a bit of noise here and there, but it normally wouldn't bug you so much because, I don't know, maybe because if it's strange, you just kind of go, well, okay, like, what are you going to do, But because you know where it's coming from, it kind of, you think like, I'm going to call them and tell them to stop. It's terrible, It should be the other way around, but.
Unfortunately, the horses bolted on me living with any of my brothers. But it would be, G's living here because in her early 20s, if she wanted to live outside of home and go to uni and do her job, she would need to live probably an hour and a half from both her uni and her job and her friends.
Crazy.
Unfortunately, the artist in resident thing in New York is incredible because diversity isn't just for, in my opinion, socioeconomic diversity and diversity of ideas is what is most important to keep cohesion in society, because then you're always challenged, right? And to have a diverse range of people of different socioeconomic areas and classes and jobs in the same space is what's important. If you have a whole suburb of bankers, it's a ghost town.
Well,
and it's terrible.
It's something that happens. It's the germination process, and someone explained it to me. It's with let's just use Soho as an example. Like the late '60s when the Fluxus movement went in there, and it was pretty much derelict except for some sweatshop activity that was still happening. And when we moved there, where there was still some below ground garments coming out of conveyor belts into trucks.
Wow.
That's all well gone now. But they're kind of like the worms, the artists of the worms. They come in, and in this case, the council, I guess, whatever you call it, the municipal council of that area just said, come on in, artists, we'll give you some free electricity, free rent. Come in and make these derelict buildings something livable, because it's almost like they know that they're like the worms that turn up the soil. Then the soil becomes fertile. Then the plants go in. Then the forest grows. Then the corporate world comes in and harvests that. And then the worms go on to another dumpy kind of
further out of town
area. Yeah,
that is very.
We're the worms, us creatives.
We're the worms.
Yeah, we're the ones that make the soil fertile.
You've got a lot of fertile soil to plough, man.
Well,
you're going on the road.
But I mean, getting back to the village, the older I get, the more I realize that the village is really it's the epicenter of health, mental health, physical health, everything.
Oh, not the New York village.
Oh,
no,
the
village mentality. Got it.
The village as a, it starts family and then outwards from there.
Yeah.
And people living in that's what I think the down. The fault of humankind is that we're losing the village. We really are.
We feel that, as you mentioned, it was mostly in Anglo's places that once industrialization showed up. Before that, we used to sleep 6-8 to a room.
Yeah.
That was what buildings looked like. You look at architecture from the time, that was the room where we slept. There was a bedroom, it was the room where we slept. And we all slept together. And then we started sleeping in different rooms, and slowly over time we've been isolating ourselves more and more. And I get that because at first, it's like, oh, finally, fucking silence, bit of peace, bit of shush. Yeah. No, I can just think about my shit. I can fart. I can whatever. I can think terrible thoughts and no. But then for too long, that doesn't. We don't work well that way. We actually need each other. We need the presence of another human for our brains to work properly. As seductive as the isolation is, it's not actually great for us, though.
Yeah, no, and it's also really interesting in blue zones, like. You talk about, kind of luxury and comfort and everything. And I guess to most people, including myself, like you think that those are the things that are going to help you live a healthier life and everything. And I mean, if I have a choice between a flat bed and sitting in a chair for like 17 hours, I know which one I want. But it's in these blue zones that we're seeing that the people that are like living longer actually have less comfort in the sense of like they're not sleeping on pillow top mattresses, they're sleeping on really hard things, and just they keep working, they keep toiling the soil, literally and metaphorically. They're not like getting all like padded out and cotton wooled and just.
And there's purpose. That's the other really interesting thing. There's purpose in their days, and they have a sense of meaning to people around them. They have a job or something they do is for more than just them.
Yeah, And the sad truth is, like, people retire and they're just so clapped out from working their guts out that they retire and just, the statistically doesn't look so good.
No.
They die within years.
Mate, at what point do you remember? And I remember, it's been a long time since I could, but I remember there were moments when I was playing all the time, that what I wanted it to sound like just happened without me thinking about it. It was about 1920 because that was all I was doing. I couldn't do it now. Do you remember a time in your life when that kind of feeling of mastery or that melding of you and the instrument started to happen?
That's a hard one because I'm still trying to feel that.
But that's the thing though. You never stop pursuing it. It comes and goes in moments though.
Yeah. Look, I think there was some times where I've like looked back and gone, wow, I'm able to do that now. Like singing and playing, for instance. That was something that I started just playing, and then I did a little bit of singing, and then sort of like just it's like the bike riding thing.
It's patting your head and rubbing your tummy, but also doing Morse code at the same time.
Yeah. You get sort of more. It becomes more liquid.
Yeah.
But I think for me, the thing that really was like boot camp and kind of just galvanized a lot of stuff was when I started doing solo shows, because I'd never had to really, really stand up on my own.
You got to fill all the gaps.
And it was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. And I remember kind of feeling like the sky, and I still have those moments of like the sky is going to come down on me. But I've gotten bolder and bolder, and like over the course of time, I think about things, and it's like, I can't believe I'm soloing without even a rhythm guitar. It's all about what's implied. And I feel like I'm taking liberties. I definitely feel it's a little cheeky sometimes what I do, but I just, it's like, man, this is how I played when I was, 14 on my bed. I'd be hear something and I just play. Why can't I do that in front of an audience? It's like, it's all in my head. So they will feel what all those other things that are implied. What I'm hearing, if I project it, it doesn't matter, I mean, it's not, and the odd kind of encouraging word from a few people has helped too. I think when I started doing solo shows, a friend of mine, Michael Hegarty, said, "Oh, I just saw Jackson Browne doing a solo show, and he played a guitar solo, just guitar solo, on his own, no accompaniment." And I was like, "Oh, wow, you can do that." I just thought, ping, note to self, try that.
But there's something about that though that I recognise as a punter. I've been to a lot of gigs. The hearing aids may give that away to you. I didn't have quite the precision monitoring that you did, or maybe less care. And there's something about if you're by yourself on stage, I'm not just there for the song I know from the radio. I know that I'm not going to hear the track as it was. I'm not going to hear you play it pitch perfect.
Yeah.
All right, and that's fine.
You get that at gigs, but yeah.
I'm there for, like, I saw Noel Gallagher play solo, and he's like, I won't make the band play Wonderwall because it's not their song.
High Flying Birds.
Yeah, it's not their song. I'm not going to make them play it. And he said straight up, it was in front of the Enmore. He goes, I'm going to sing it with a different melody, and fuck you, I wrote it. So if you want to sing along, go for it, but it'll sound different from me. And fine. Yeah. And I love watching, when I watch a player like yourself up there, I like watching them enjoy themselves. I want to see, I can't stand sneaker staring bands. Like, show me the shapes. Give me all the shapes. Give me the faces. Give me the off mic, wow, when you really feel it. Because that's me going, you're feeling it, so if you're feeling it, I'm feeling
exactly.
it. And when you hit that kind of 3-note bend on your acoustic and you didn't break it, I'm like, wow, I'm there. It's great.
Yeah, I think there's all these constructs, for some reason. I think we all get really tainted, and it's things that people say. It's terrible. Like, you got to be really careful. I mean, I'm a very sensitive person. I know I am. I try to be less and less, but I am. I just know by default that I'm an empath, and I do like people saying things. When I was younger, it probably would make more of an impact on me. As the older you get, the less fucks you have. But I'm
figuratively and literally.
Yeah, exactly. But it's important. Like, I've worked with a lot of young artists, and when we're songwriting in the room, and I know that they haven't done many collab sessions.
Yeah.
It's really important that I don't taint them with things like you can't use that word, you can't use the same word twice, and things like that. It's like, who said that?
Yeah.
You know, it's like we just use that word in that verse, and you can't use it in the chorus. Like what? Like, well, let's just be aware of it, and maybe if there's something that's more interesting or feels more powerful, but. Like all these stupid lyric police, I call them, you know, like...
You tell those lyric police, Sammy Hagar had a #1 single with Van Halen with the line, "Only time will tell if we'll stand the test of time," and the rest of them can get fucked.
There you go.
Because that's it. There it is. It's right there.
Know. I mean, there are so many things like that. It's ridiculous. But I think somewhere in the 80s and 90s, there were a lot of... I don't know, maybe it was just a lot of cocaine and people getting paranoid, but there was just... I had a lot of writing sessions where... there was a lot of like constructs dumped on me, and they kind of made, they scarred me a little bit,
right? And
I've had to kind of like shed that. But I'm a fan of ripping it to shreds and questioning everything that by nature I always like just turn it upside down on its head before you let it kind of like sit and exist. My favorite thing is just like. Take the thing that's the most, what you think is the most poignant, the most important element of that song, not lyrically maybe, but just like parts wise or sound wise, and then just like mute it, turn it off, and you know, in the process, see if like it might be better.
Yeah.
You know, you never know. Sometimes you get so hung up on whatever it was, and then when in the process you realize it's like it's done its work now. We can actually get rid of it. It's like it's not serving. And so never get too attached. It's all of the art of detachment. It's fun. It's a fun thing to do. It's just like, you know, like don't ever forget, for instance, that, you know, When Doves Cry has no bass, you know, things like that. It's like, does the song really need bass? Well, or whatever it is. Sorry, you're a bass player, but I mean, I love bass.
No, you're right.
I play bass on all my records, but there's some songs it's like it almost like hurts me. It's just like, oh damn, this song doesn't need bass. It's like, yep, get over it, because I know I just love putting bass on songs. But sometimes sometimes it needs no guitar, you know, whatever it is. You know, those kind of like things that you just go through the motions. Yeah. That's important.
Taking things away is an important part of any creation.
Process.
Any creation.
Yeah.
Like I'm writing another book at the moment. There's no writing. There's just rewriting. And I've got let's say it's a 70,000 word. It's pretty short, which is nice. But I will probably deliver 130,000.
Yeah, of course.
All right? Because I just got to get it all out. And then
it's like having 30 songs for a 10-song album.
Precisely. And you mentioned him before, so, you know, and I know people will understand because it's such a familiar song, but when you listen to 1999 by Prince, that's not the original vocal. The original vocal is a muted track. You're listening to 3 backup singers singing a harmony, and
Incredible.
Each line is just the next track muted, next track unmuted. And he heard it and went, no, that's it. That's done. Took his own vocal off.
It's so funny. It just gave me a chill because I heard that yesterday or the day before. Not yesterday because I was in Melbourne. I heard that the day before yesterday, cranked it in the car, came on the radio, and I was like, oh, God, thank God, a song I can turn up in the radio, on the radio. And it just, like, you know how, like, most things just sound kind of crappy when they're down low, and then you just turn it right the fuck up in the car, and it just, everything in that song is just so pocketed.
To the idea that even though he is who he is, and a lot of stuff in the 80s with how Prince was so full of himself, and you don't look him in the eye, all that kind of shit came from that even then he's like, I know this is going to be a hit record. I don't mind if my voice isn't on it. It is what it is. That's that kind of humility around something is, I'm not going to write 1999, but is it doing the job? If it's doing the job, then that's enough. And takes a while to get to, I think. There was a time when, I don't know, if you're cooking, you want to put all the spices in.
Yeah.
You want to make a taste of everything. If you're the first time you record a song, or you know, you want to put 1,000 different, you know, you want 15 guitars on it. Here's one. Which reminds me, I got taught. I went to music school in Brisbane, and my audio engineering lecturer was, I believe, your front of house guy, Ian Taylor.
Okay, one of my front of house.
Yeah. At the time, and he would always fill us full of stories about when he went through the South with you.
Wow.
And he taught me the most extraordinary lesson which was we stood there in front of that whole big mixing desk. They're not big anymore, but at the time it was 24-track reel-to-reels, this kind of thing. And he said, look at all those buttons. A lot of buttons, right? Tell you one button that's missing. There's no de-shit button.
Yeah.
If it's shit going on a tape, it'll be shit coming off tape.
That's true.
Get it right before you get it down. And I never forgot that.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Precisely.
It's the same with digital, really.
Yeah. Yeah,
Doesn't
you just
matter.
end up with
Capture whatever you're capturing.
End up with too much data. When you're going on the road like in a request thing, which is wild. I'm interested in the mechanism. Midnight Oil famously had the chocolate wheel.
Yeah, the wheel. I'm a little bit like I started this process 2005, I think it was. I did a tailored set, and I did it with bits of paper that on that particular occasion. It was like little menus that we'd distribute at the door with like little those pencils that you get at putt, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a hot mess. Like people in those sort of venues were like, you know, quite, and they'd scribble all over them and stuff. And I would get some legitimate requests, but
I don't know Dick and Ball.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. I don't do songs from South Park. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of like, I don't want all that homework either before I'm about to go on stage. This is horrible, you know, like I've got enough to think about. So I just sort of parked it over there until recently. And I mean, now we have the mechanisms with socials and everything, and it's just so much better. So I've made 2 playlists because I thought I'm going to be a bit more controlling. And it's like, here's 30 songs and here's another 10 covers. So it's like 30, most of them are singles from my catalog, and then some wild cards from anything from, you know, a Rihanna song to Moon River, you know. So there's a whole bunch of covers and a whole pile of my catalog, and then just pick, and then you're allowed to put like some like wild thing in the third box, and then the fourth box, because this is all done through Survey Monkey or MailChimp. Or one of those. Anyway, is right why, you know, like so. That's probably the most enjoyable thing, is I get all this put into a document a few days before the show, which is a good time. Not at the show. Yeah. And I correlate it all, and even with the algorithms now of this program that we're using, it does these little graphs of like which song is most popular in this particular town, and so I can visually see, you know, that one's been requested the most. It's you know, I like make it visual.
What a beautiful collaborative thing
Really
to do
nice.
with the people that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to assume there'll be people that come to check you out. They know you're familiar with you. They'll buy a ticket. But there's people that have been with you for 30 years
really
or more, right?
Cool, Osher, is like, I know there's artists now that are actually basing, like, I've just been with the Sushi Mango guys doing their podcast, and they're doing a tour, and they've based where they're doing the promoters have based where they're going basically off the algorithm, you know, of who's streaming. And so this kind of by requesting, like looking at, it's like, I'm going to play a town tonight where this particular song is really freaking popular, so I'm going to definitely do that song, and I'm going to put it in a good spot so it's like really gets a lot of attention. I can kind of tweak my set to like tailor it to like what the vibe is in that town, because it's different don't ask me why, but like one song will be like, wow, they really love that song in this town, and it's like 20 people, and that's enough of a contingency to give this vibe in the room that night. But reading the comments, it's actually quite humbling, some of the things that people say, why and what I mean, it's not like I don't know that music has impacted me, so why wouldn't it impact, you know, people that are fans of my music? But seeing it written out like that, you know, it snapped me out of a malaise a few times. I remember having to go to Canberra, and
that's sad in itself. That sentence is a sad sentence.
Oh no, it was.
I'm sad for you.
It was the day after 9/11. We had a gig.
Wow.
And it was like off to Canberra we went, and
we drove.
We did, and it was just seemed like what are we doing? It was one of those like what.
Yeah.
I felt like, what is this thing that I'm this music thing, like, and we got up and played, and it was almost, I was just like glazed over. I was kind of out of my body. I don't even remember like doing. I remember the post gig more, and I remember like kind of coming back on the stage to help the crew so we could just all get out of there. And there was just a couple of people left, and this girl comes up, and she just said, look, I know you guys aren't in a good way. And I was like, yeah, sorry. And she just said, look, I just wanted to say that this particular album, and I think it was Soul Lost Companion. Anyway, I was in hospital and da 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 da, and it really, I listened to it, you know, on repeat, and it's really, really helped me. And she was up and, you know, hopefully she was in a good way. She was standing upright. So, and it just like was like a slap in the head of just like, yeah, that's what you do, you idiot. You know, just keep freaking doing it. Like, music is salve, it's medicinal.
Yeah.
But for like, I just lost, like, I was a squirrel that just dropped my nut, you know, and understandably, like, you know, it was so. For anyone watching the news that night, my wife and I, like, we watched it till about 6 a.m. and then went to bed, like, and we were looking at streets that we knew, like our friends were like in that apartment, going, that's Cathy and Tom's place, and there was a piece of, you know, like fuselage and a freaking engine like in the street with just all this dust, and it was just unfathomable. So, yeah, things like that. I mean, I'm just lucky I have a job that can make people feel like, give them some salve, you know, in their lives. So
music is for a bunch of you know, mathematically parallel vibrations in air. Music,
an arrangement of them,
has and it's just a particular pattern in this particular order. You're a time lord. You own a time machine, because when you play that song, when we hear that song and it's something and it resonates on it, it just stamps that moment in our day completely, and it gives us this 3 minutes and 28 seconds of completely very clear emotional memory of where I was in that time in my life. I just lost my virginity. I just lost a job. I just broke up with someone. I just met someone. My child got born. Whatever. And every time you hear that song for eternity, you're back there, like the smell of grandma's cooking. You are there. And so when you're standing on stage and you're giving them that, they're in that moment, and you're with them, and it's fucking unbelievable that our brains do this. But it's such a beautiful thing. I have playlists ready to go. I use music as Valium now.
There's that, and then there's the other spectrum of that. So, I mean, I have all those feelings on stage, and I don't. The most bizarre things have like come my way on stage too. Like, I was doing a gig somewhere in rural Victoria.
Wangaratta.
No, it was on. It might have been Warrnambool.
Warrnambool.
And I think it was. Anyway,
Dave Hughes's
and
town.
There was an older gentleman, like right up the front, and he was quite elderly. And I thought, oh, cute, you know. He was with a couple of younger guys around him, and they were all kind of like, you know, the old bloke, you know, they're doing that sort of thing. And it was broad sort of daylight, because it was like a half kind of beer gardenish sort of place. Anyway, because it was afternoon, and I kept hearing this, like, in between, like, I'd finish the song and I'd hear this, like, something that was like, what? And I couldn't quite get what but I was just there, and it was the same constant sort of thing. Anyway, I finally heard it properly, and it was like, take your shirt off. And I was like, oh God. And it's the most, anyway. And then I looked at the guy, and he was like, looked at me like, yep, that's me, I said that sort of thing. And it, you know, that's part of my job as well, like getting heckled and anyway, so I told Jim, I had to tell somebody, I was like traumatized, and I think I told Jim, and he was like, yeah, that's prison talk. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, it's like how dudes talk to each other in jail. He's like, yeah, he's probably been in jail, you know. And I'm like, oh, great, you know, okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that's the other end of our job. So, you know, I kind of like, I don't want to, you know, like bring it down here into
no,
the dirt,
not at all. You're giving that bloke.
We are just, you know, we're kind of like, entertainers at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you are who people have people put some stuff upon you, what kind of person you must be.
Most of the time, like, I'm grateful that most of my fans that come are just really lovely and polite, but it blows my mind sometimes. And then I just have to think, well, you know, mental health. Who knows what people are going through? Sometimes people yell stuff out.
He's got it together enough to get enough. He's got
money
to buy a ticket.
I don't want to be that guy that sort of goes like, you know, tells people to shut up and get out or whatever. It's just,
don't look me in the eye. I'm Prince.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, like, but I am the teacher up there, and I have had to kind
of. Oh no, that's fine. If people are paying money for an experience,
flock,
well, that's true, and that's fine.
That's another part of our jobs is we kind of have to look after our flocks.
Yeah,
You know?
for the most part, crowds, it's nowhere
Keep the
near
wolves
what
away
it
from the
was.
sheep, you know?
When I was 17, when I became a roadie, that's where most of the hearing damage came from. I was a roadie for like 3 years before I got my own band. And time before CCTV, like 92 to 95 or so, the fucking violence in pubs was just... Like,
God.
what you watch on YouTube is nothing to the kind of shit that
Let's just
I
talk
saw
about
in pubs.
the violence and also the danger of the environment. I was talking to someone about how bands used to come into pubs. They would road case the hell out of the place, bring all this gear in. The glasses that they had behind the bar were actual glass, and that glass would just turn into a sea of crushed glass, which the road crew would like then load the gear out through, so bits of it would get stuck to the wheels of the road cases, which would inevitably end up on someone's hand. It was a bloodbath sometimes. Yeah. It would literally, it was so like mind-blowingly the opposite of OH and S.
But there is something to it, and I lament this because Georgia turned 18.
Health and safety.
Well, Georgia turned 18 during COVID, and all those clubs closed. I remember riding my motorbike down Oxford Street, and I was crying because I rode past DCMs going, she's never gonna, hopefully, but she's never gonna wander out of there on a Monday, having gone out on a Saturday. She's never gonna be like packed in like that. There's something when you're packed in, so you don't actually have any say on which way you're moving.
Yeah.
There's something that happens to us as humans when we're in that kind of environment. Terrifying, dangerous, but also fucking incredible. There's a place down the road from here, which I know you've played.
Some sort of solidarity thing happens.
Yeah, and there's something that happens. Yes, it's dangerous, but one of G's mates, her mum, she used to run the bar at Selena's. She's in her mid-60s now.
Wow. She
was in charge of getting all the riders to the bands. And I have talked to her and gone like, so hang on, this is like, she goes, you don't understand. She's got the voice. You don't understand. Hunters and collectors play 3 nights at the start of every summer, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah. And so I said, no fire restrictions? Fuck no. 2.5, 3,000 in there. Yeah. And I said, oh yeah. And all cash. All cash. Yeah. I used to count it. Insane. I said, what? 250, 300 over the bar, and the rest. It's like, oh my God. Just 1987 money.
Wow.
$250,000 cash a night. Not to mention, like the drummer from that band bought a house. But what that experience was for the people, you couldn't move in there. You played that room at those times.
We did.
What was it like?
It was, we had the record for that year or whatever it was for most people stuffed in. That was kind of like a boasting thing that they would. It was just kind of scary, like boasting about how many illegal people you were stuffing in.
Because if something goes bad, nobody's getting out.
It was a thing, stuffing in more people in, and we had the record for that. I'm sure someone came along and broke it or whatever, but it was crazy. You would walk on, and it was just wall to wall humanity. Like there was that monkey cage they called it up the side there, with just people like in this sort of like, and then of course the front, and then it just went and you couldn't really see beyond that, and if you were stuck, you didn't have much of a view. There was a lot of bad viewing, so everyone tried to get into that the front part of the room there where it had a little bit of a ceiling, because the back of it underneath was kind of terrible. But
35 Selwyn Vega W bins destroying
your ears. They didn't care about, it's like, can't see, too bad, come earlier and sit through 3 supports. That's what people that wanted.
I used to do that. I would not pee for hours.
Oh my God. So the normal time for the main act to go on there was like 1 a.m., sorry. So
hang on, wait.
1 a.m. was like the go on stage. Yeah.
Jesus.
And that was a thing because they wanted, the doors were probably at 7 or something, and they would have band, just get everyone drinking. It's all about maximum bar take. That's what it was. Put the main act on as late as you can. So 1 a.m. was our stage time, and I wasn't a fan of that. Even at 21, 22, I was like, it's too late. I'm tired. And I remember one instance, our manager thought he'd do a nice thing and booked us a massage, because the dressing rooms were like these kind of rooms that were in the pub that were like kind of like 3-star.
It says the Coogee Bay Hotel.
3-star motel rooms.
There's hotel
and
there,
that was the band's and so I got this massage, which just like, it was like a lesson learned. don't ever get a massage that late in the day, because I went on stage and I was just like, I just had no, like, I just wanted to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I had to kind of, it was like everything was in slow-mo. But I somehow, got the adrenaline kicked in at some point. But, oh, man.
What does it feel like when you're connecting with that many
insane.
people? Because it's quite intimate. That room is the way it's built. The furthest person away on that second level is probably only 15 metres away from you.
I got to say, it wasn't one of my favourite stages because it just felt like we were too high. I don't like being so high that it was like a swimming pool.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like there. I prefer, where you're a little bit more on their like eyesight. But, it was fun. I mean, the monkey looking up and seeing all the people up there was always fun. It was kind of like a miniature kind of arena sort of vibe.
What do you feel come over you when you walk on a stage and you hear that? Wow.
Oh, like just you got to just do it. Got to do it. Got to do it really good. It's kind of it's that do or die thing. It just sort of like surges through you, and that was something that I would manage if for want of a better. Or I thought I was with, my drink of choice then was vodka. So vodka was like just calm the nerves, and, it does give you that feeling of sort of like, and then you sort of like, then the sugar kind of like kicks in, and then you sort of get that, and then you get like, then you dump down, and so your only option is to like top up. It's a dangerous combination, and it took me, let's just say, let's just start from, 15. I was when I discovered the drink rider at gigs. No one was about to say like, "Hey, you're 15. That's not for you.
You're going to go on stage and make people buy alcohol.
Have a lemon squash for you, buddy."
Yeah.
No.
Off you pop, son.
No, but I mean, if we want to really go back, I remember finding half-finished bottles of Bacardi in the laneways behind the streets that we lived in WA, in Perth. Because we lived in this part of that was all kind of like council housing, which had these laneways. Yeah. And coming home from school, you'd find all kinds of things, packets of cigarettes. Yeah. I mean, I started, chuffing on ciggies at like when I was 8 or 9, and from finding them. Yeah. And it was all very titillating, it's like, I feel like an adult, And then the booze came, and I remember my brother, I think I was like 11, I found a bottle of Cinzano or something. He was like, "Give that to me," It's like, you're too young for that, So that kind of playing with things like that started really early. So 15, I was like well on my way to kind of like living in an adult, or thinking I was living in an adult.
But if you're also playing in an adult world, you're in the covers, and totally. I'm guessing in covers you're doing like 4 45-minute sets a night or something. You're up on stage for hours.
Well, exactly. And, the kind of intrinsically shy person that's in me, especially back then, my kind of anxiety that I didn't even know was a thing, it's like, didn't even know the word anxiety, but that's a whole nother conversation. Suddenly like weed and alcohol are like, that's like, God, this is so much easier, So
you wouldn't be the first, and yes, I do know. And many people also do.
Totally. So that was my MO from then till early 2000s.
Yeah, right.
And it was around that time that before or after that Canberra gig that I mentioned, something happened. The band, just a comment that one of my band members made. It was like, you really like change, when you drink at gigs. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they just mentioned about, you throw chairs around like when you come off stage. And I couldn't argue with them. There was an incident where I came off and it was like, I felt the gig was really good, and I felt like the band weren't as excited as me or something, which is ridiculous, and it was like, what's wrong with you guys? This sounds great. It's, I'm having a great time sort of thing, just being an absolute dick. And picked up a plastic chair and threw it, plastic or wood, it doesn't matter. It's a big object, and that's the thing. I suddenly realized, I've kind of thought, you know what? Adrenaline and any other thing is a really dangerous combination. Adrenaline alone. So I raw dogged it for the first couple of years. It was really kind of like, it's just kept getting that urge. So I've never even liked Coca-Cola, but it was like, I need Coke on my rider. So I was just like chug a bunch of Coca-Cola. Sounds so ridiculous. Caffeine and sugar. And I'd kind of get cranked on that. I needed something else, and I knew it was going to be there. Like Coke's going to be there. I'm going to be okay. Yeah. And I use the excuse of, like, sometimes my stomach's a bit upset. I need that Drano. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. And people would like laugh and go, "What's so bad about Coke?" Coke is like, if you've ever given Coke to a child and seen what it does to them, it's profound.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I remember it.
Oh, I remember our son once at one of my gigs got hold of a bottle of Coke and just was like watching a firecracker just spinning around on the ground. It was just, I mean, it's like that amount of sugar and caffeine and just all those chemicals and stuff.
Quite a dosage for a small human.
On a pure little body, a pure little host. Anyway, so... Yeah, anyway, kombucha is kind of like what I have on my rider now. Kombucha and it's honey and lemon. I'm so boring now. But yeah, it was...
Are you though? Are you? Because I would argue that... I would argue that the beer blanket separates you from those around you. And there's that isolation we talked about earlier. Certainly in my experience, it was a time in my life where I couldn't... Certainly like when Idle and stuff was fucking colossal, I couldn't leave the house without at least 4... to get between me and what are you fucking doing? That gave me just enough microseconds to process a bit and understand rather than reacting in a way that would get me in any kind of danger.
Well, you probably could agree with me now. Like, you become, at first it's kind of shocking to be around people that are intoxicated. Now I wouldn't say I'm like just kind of an expert at it or anything, but I'm just very good. You get very tuned into kind of like just doing that little body swerve and not being like rude to anybody in particular, but you're just very good at just like, it's like, oh, too slow, and they don't even know what's going on, and you can just like wish around them, and because they're impaired. There's no other word for it. And one drink will impair somebody.
That's
so you've
the
always
truth.
got that little edge on.
That's
just like
the truth.
Verbally or physically, just swishing around them.
Man, these water's got to piss. Be right back.
Yeah.
And never be right back. Ever.
So I'm, to be like, I guess, dealing with the audiences now. I mean, I mostly play theaters now, so it's a lot less intoxication. It's all about the time of the day.
Yeah.
Time of day and environment is what the two factors that I'm really conscious of with gigs now. And I love playing outdoor festivals. That's like my favorite. Probably my favorite environment is just outdoors when the weather is just like not too hot, not cold, and you're just feeling that oxygen, because I love being outdoors and sucking oxygen. I'm a runner, so to be on stage and just sucking all that oxygen and feeling like you're getting on that oxygen high and you're playing music, there's just nothing better. It's like that's my big wave surfing for me.
Yeah, right.
So, and I don't surf. I wish.
Tell me about I can't run anymore. I used to run 10Ks every day, and then eventually the mechanics will break. I'm a bit fucked now. Tell me about running. What happens when you run?
I get kind of in a there's still like I love telling people that when, as an encouraging thing, it's like, listen, don't worry. When you start, you're gonna have that little voice going like, don't do this. Just go home. Like, sit down. Do something else, or do it later. That little fucking voice still comes out. It's like that asshole on my shoulder just still tries to tell me to like not do it it's like, I can't believe it's still there, but it is. Yeah. And it's almost, I guess maybe it's like entertainment for me. I don't think so. I think it's just always that lazy side of me, or whatever it is. It's just procrastinate. Maybe sometimes I have to say it's because I want to go straight into my studio and just start. And it's like, but it's always like one day I asked myself, I was running, and it was like, it came into my head like an epiphany of just like, why do you do this? And then it was like, whoa, what did you just say? Like, it was kind of like, why do you do this? And I'm like, kind of laughed to myself, just like, why do I do this? And then I just really went deep into went down some spiral of like, and I figured out that maybe it's because I used to do the pain first. Do the pleasure first. The pleasure, and then I'd get the pain, and I'd always go, damn, this hurts, like, give me some more pleasure. Now I'm doing the pain, and then I get the pleasure, and I've just reversed it. Maybe I'm a sadistic bastard, but I like to kind of delay gratification. I've always been a big fan of that, and I just, it's like, do the pain, then you're going to get the gain. You're going to get those endorphins and that feeling.
You can't unlock that stuff any other way.
And I also use it as a desk cleaning mechanism. Like I used
desk cleaning?
Like when I first started, I would put headphones on, and
it
was a way of like catching up on music or listening to, this is like predates podcast. So a lot of my songs come that way. It's not like I don't sit in the studio and tinker and like something happened like last week where I was just playing with an old piece of equipment, an old Roland chorus delay thing that just has this really it's like the two parts of the Space Echo without the tape. So it's got the chorus and the reverb in it is just so lo-fi and kind of bucket brigade. So it's just like and you get the sweet spot. And I was just playing, and it was like, ooh, that, then I wrote a whole song just by being inspired. A lot of things have happened that way too, and it's also a great excuse to keep buying equipment.
Honey, I need it. You don't understand.
This is, it's pivotal.
I'm searching for serendipity. I've got to manufacture it.
So, that's a way, but most of it is, I find it a lot easier to write when I'm away from my studio and away from all the distractions of, familiarity and stuff, and it just all happens in here. I call it the human radio.
Yeah.
You just kind of tune into it. I'm sure you have a radio too.
Oh, right? Without a doubt. I got taught, unfortunately he's passed away, Andrew Sidwell, one of the greatest brains of all time. He simply taught me, fill your brain full of everything you need, all right? And then go do something else.
Yeah.
The answer won't come while you're doing the thing
true.
You're trying to figure out.
So true.
Your subconscious needs time, and when it's ready, it'll go,
that's what,
like an old school card-fed computer. A light will go off, and the answer. Oh, you know what? There it is, and it's everything.
I think Neil Finn. I did some writing with him in New York, and we had got into talking about the process a little bit. And he said, I have a lot of naps on the couch in the studio, and that's where a lot of my songs come, on the couch. The nap. That's that, like, it's not really like a heavy sleep, but it's just that kind of like. And you just need to just like you said, get out and just get into the subconscious just enough, dip into that pool. So running is a good place.
By doing it as a creative person, it's important to do it regularly. You got to be mechanistic about it. It's a job. You can't just sit around. I'm just going to wait for my fourth album to drop out of the sky.
No.
You have to figure out what you're trying to do.
You got to summons it up.
Yeah,
and like I say, the radio. I literally feel like sometimes I'm running along and it's just noise, and I'm just talking to myself and thinking shit. Like when I say shit, just like unproductive, like maybe, negative thoughts and stuff, whatever it is. And I'm just like, no, get away from that. Tune in, find something, find a riff, find something, think about, summons up a feeling, a lyric, something, just find something. Yeah. And it's just like, it's almost like you can hear it turning the dial, and then you just click into something. And sometimes I'm like, I don't like that. Change it, change it to another gear. This is all going on while I'm running. And it's a fun kind of thing to like pass and I find when I have those runs that I'm back to my finishing point so much sooner. Like that's another good thing. It's like, it takes the kind of like, oh God, I just got to finish these last 2Ks, and suddenly when you tune into the internal radio, you're like, boom, you're done. And then I do my next bit, which is getting on the grass and just doing my, make as many shapes as I can with my body and stretch out and do all that stuff. But I love getting on some grass every day for literally the grounding that you get. And, hippies would say that's like, oh, of course, you need to be grounded, man. And it's only just dropped on me that's what they mean when people say, oh, that person's really grounded. Like whether they realize it or not, it's like literally like grounded in an electrical way, because we have so much static charge. I mean, sitting in this room right now, as much as I'm
a big fan of RF, mate. I love it.
Yeah.
I love me some radio. There's a lot of it happening right now.
I feel like I should be wearing one of those tin hats.
Dude, I've got between my hearing aids, they shoot wires across my brain so they can communicate with each other
awesome.
the whole day. It's amazing. One thing, I used to read comic books, and what you just told me, it looks like the first frame of a superhero exposition. Like Mark Lizotte, falling from a radio tower as a child, was gifted with the power of a radio that brought him songs.
That's right. I got some ham radio.
Exactly, and it was forever he carries it with him.
Ham, they mean like ham. Yeah, hammy.
And there it is. But when it comes on the bicycle now, but not only when I'm riding, but I got a sauna in the backyard. I spent a lot of money on things that I've wanted to make me feel better than they do now. There is nothing greater in my life for as far as creativity, ideation, and my mental health than that thing, because I have a deliberate time every day where I don't do anything except be with discomfort.
Yeah,
and it's part of my bedtime routine.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
It's fucking excellent.
Like,
and the ideas that show up.
Lean into discomfort.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yes, pleasure is nice. Yeah. But after a while, you can only eat so much chocolate cake.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I guess the dopamine deficit is an ongoing thing for me. And I definitely, like, when I speak to my brother, there's a couple of brothers in my family who just seem to be just surging with serotonin, and it's not just me who, I think everyone that around me and my family notices it, and it's become a bit of a joke. It's like, I even make a joke about it on stage. If I get onto that subject of, like, by the way, I'm from a family of 7, my mother my brother is just so happy that, she took the last bit of he took the last bit of serotonin out of my mum's womb, and it was just like nothing for me, but that's part of I guess it's part of what makes me the artist that I am, I suppose.
And that's the thing, coming to peace with the brain that we've got is a really important part, I think, of if you've ever been struggling with anxiety, depression, or any kind of mental health. Like, okay, this is what I've got. The great things in my life are also because of this. Totally. How can I manage these bits and keep the things that it gives me over here? That's the trick. Trying to make that thing go away just makes it bigger and more dangerous.
But I'm not going to lie. Like, when I get on the phone with my brother, to this day, the way he answers even the phone, it's just like, what the fuck, bro? Like, how can you be so fucking happy? Like it's just...
It's a gift, man. It's nice.
If I say that, it goes, oh... sorry, and that makes it worse. It's just like, just be an asshole for 1 second to me, and then I'll feel better.
I annoy the shit out of Audrey.
You should just say, like, fuck you, bro, and then I'll be like, cool,
I change gears too quickly. I get out of, to keep myself alive, I get out of resentment as quickly as I possibly can, and I try real hard to process things very, very, very fast so I can get to possibility. Because if I sit in resentment and bitterness, then I start to get justification for choices that are not good for me and those around me. And Audrey's like, just be fucking pissed off for a second that the guy cut you off. I'm like, he might be in a rush. Like, it's okay to get angry for a second. I can't afford to, honey. I'm sorry. It's not going to change anything. I can't let myself get mad.
Yeah, there's a really popular book right now, which my wife has been saying this for years, and we're kind of laughing about it in a good way. But the book's called Let Them.
Oh, the Mel Robbins thing, yeah.
Let them.
Yeah.
Chep's been saying that to our kids and me. Like, da-da-da's doing this. Let them. Just let them.
My brother has one. It's their garden, their path, man. Like,
yeah.
And and that's what songs are, what we've just talked about. A metaphor, it's a small, tiny little story in just a couple of words. You're able to paint a much, much bigger picture. And it's the same with music. It's the same with lyrics. It's the same with a chord progression will do it. It's, a minor chord progression will, take you, that resolves to something, beautiful in a key change, is the audio vibration story of the birth of a child, for example, because that's certainly how I feel. And I hate it when it's like a Westlife song and a key change hits, and now I'm covered in goosebumps and I'm crying. I'm like, fuck you, Brian McFadden. You've tricked my body with music.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the thing that we've got, and it's really it's.
Oh, I'm not a snob. Like,
oh no, not at all.
I'm guessing you aren't either. I just like, people like to sort of kind of put things into boxes. Like, can't like that, because it's like, why not?
When I got to live my musical fantasy, man. I got to program the Rage one night, and people were livid that I put Slayer's Rain in Blood and Carly Rae Jepsen's Call Me Maybe. I'm like, It's
I mean, that
one
would
of
really
the
upset people.
they're as hard
people
to
that
write.
are upset about that. That's
Each of those songs is as hard to write as the other. Like,
God.
have you? ABBA is like a Michelangelo David every song. Do you know how fucking hard it is to write?
Anything by Kathy Dennis.
Every part is a hook.
It's like
I was explaining to
talking
Georgia.
about every part is a hook, you know.
Yeah, I was explaining to G the other day, and this is the thing, because there's so much music now. There's 700,000 songs, I think, get uploaded to Spotify each week. A lot of my music discovery now comes from Georgia, which is great because she's got great taste in music. But she started to listen to Springsteen and stuff like that when she cooks, and she played Four Non Blondes the other day, and I started to explain to her, it's like, do you know who that girl is? It's like, what do you mean? It's like, she won the lottery. She now doesn't have to go on tour. Like, all of Pink's music, like, boom. She is incredible. She's fucking figured it out. And that's that ability to connect that way through writing songs is just unbelievable. I was actually thinking about this because Georgia was in the car with us yesterday, and she listened to Born to Run for the first time because she's been listening to I'm on Fire off the Born in the USA record. I said, you ever heard Born to Run? I said, no. So put it on. And so we put it on in the car, and the album cover comes up. I'm looking at him going, Jesus Christ, he's 24.
Yeah.
24 when he wrote that. And he's on the cover holding the thing, and he's leaning against Clarence Clemens. And I'm thinking to myself, because I knew I'm talking to you, I was like, are there any jobs for saxophonists anymore? Because I know your dad plays sax.
Yeah, my dad,
like,
it's true.
Like, it's one of those instruments where it came and it went.
Yeah.
And when you listen to that kind of Springsteen stuff and you listen to it now, it's kind of interesting. You can't make music like that anymore. Like, one of my favorite...
It's a great combo.
One of my favorite
sax
things,
and...
I have a chat back and forth with Gary Pinto. He used to be in CDB.
Oh, I love Gary.
I love him so much. He did all the vocal
Everyone
coaching on
loves
Masked
Gary.
Singer because he's the greatest. He's beautiful, and he and I just shoot each other videos and songs of like just ridiculous sweaty brothers in PVC. You know,
that's his wheelhouse.
Earth, Wind, and Fire live at the Budokan in 1981, and you look at it and you're like, there's 12 guys on stage in the full spacesuits.
Incredible.
Like, nobody can afford to do that. Let's go to Japan with 30 crew and a seamstress for the band. And listening to Born to Run yesterday, no 24-year-old can afford to write that song now because I can't afford 8 horns. I can't afford 2 drummers. I can't afford to put everyone in a hotel on tour every night. I wonder, you know, you're going on the road by yourself, you know?
Well, yeah.
It sucks.
I'm lucky I had that sort of, I call it the 5-star, you know, Oxford University or whatever, Ivy League education, recording in places like Air Studios in London and Oxford Circus and, you know, Ardent Studios in Memphis, the Grey Room in Los Angeles where they mixed Garage Inc., you know, and so many other albums. Oh, and yeah, the record plant in Sausalito where, you know, Fleetwood Mac Rumours was recorded and Songs in the Key of Life were like up on the wall. So I've recorded at some legendary studios with some incredible people like Bernie Worrell, you know, playing keyboards, and you know, the Memphis Horns, Al Green's backing singers. I had to go to Branson, Missouri, so I got to experience all of that before the industry kind of started imploding.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, my trajectory was getting more self-sufficient.
Yeah.
At the same time, and I wanted to. It wasn't because of like, oh damn, I'm going to need to learn how to make. I wanted to know how to be a producer. I wanted to know how to do it all myself at home, and not for everyone. Not every artist wants to be autonomous, and I respect that. Some artists are just like, I don't want to know how it all works. I just want to be a performer and write. I'm like, okay, I understand that. It's like, gee, good luck. You know, it's hard. It's really hard because for years, in my early years, I would have to call up somebody. Hey, you know, can we book some session? You know, like call up an engineer or whatever. It was always a process to get in and make stuff. And now I do it at 33,000 feet, you know, like literally we're like making things. It's a dream that I always have, is just be able to make something anywhere, or at least finish something, do, you know, the editing or whatever it is, like just be able to work out of office anywhere, and you can now. So that's the plus side, but like everything you just said, it gives me a feeling of sadness. It sort of does for like young artists. Yeah. I can't avoid it. It's just like, only because, you know, I do work with a lot of young artists, and not all of them, but quite a lot of them are sort of, I could feel this lament that they have. It's just like, oh God, I'd love to know what it's like to record, you know, in a studio and maybe use tape. And I'm like, look, tape's cool, you know, it makes the cymbals and the guitars sound really squishy and nice, but you can kind of do that if you know what you're doing with plugins. You know, it's all about kind of what you're putting in. I think we've gone, you know, past that thing of just like, what's better, you know. I think they're both different. The tape is something that it's more of a mind sort of set, because when a band or an artist is recording on tape, and I love telling the stories about how it was someone's job to sit there and like punch in, punch out, punch in, punch out. And I remember like being, you know, 18, 19, my first experiences with it, it was kind of like you'd be trying to put parts down and there was this uneasy kind of thing that would happen in the room, and the tape op would sort of start looking around before like actually saying anything.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to be kind of polite. But to get to why, basically you can only punch in so many times on that same area of tape before you destroy.
Yeah.
Well, it starts sounding terrible.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it's like. If you want to make something for that reason where you all have to just like get in there and do it, yeah, record it to tape, because it will give you that tape mentality.
The other thing with tape is that it gives you that you just got to ship it. You're like, well, that's the best take we've got.
Yeah,
and we could,
totally.
I remember with my own band, it's like, this tape cost $500. We can't afford another one. That's going to be the one we go with. That's the one that's going on the album. And you just are cool with it. You get to the last stroke of the painting, the last word of the essay, you cannot go back and change it. And there's something to be said about just shipping something that's not. Otherwise, you'll just tinker with it forever. I was just talking about the big bands before. When I talk about G and stuff like that, I just really wish that she could have the opportunity to be in a club, not necessarily Selena's. You're not a fan of that, but I don't know.
I love Selena's.
Something like the Basement. It's not even there anymore.
I saw the Cult at Selena's.
Oh my God.
It was iconic. It was the night I don't know if they're having a particularly good night, but they decided to like gift their backline to the audience.
Holy shit.
It was really bizarre.
Billy Hyde would have been thrilled.
Well, the manager, the promoter who was acting to be the promoter, half of my management at the time thought that was like not funny at all.
Yeah. The idea of seeing, you know, a band with like 10 people on stage in a room that only holds 300, right? And there you are in a compound, like, you know, being a family all squished together, and the band are all wearing the same suit. They have the dance moves all down. They do the bang, 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 bang. They're doing the Morris Day and the Time thing, and everyone's tight, and the band, the punters are moving together as one. There's something that happens only once, only ever in that moment because of the audience and because of the band in that room at the same time. Unfortunately, the economics of it no longer work out unless you want to charge $1,000 to everyone walking in the front door.
Well, you know, recently I went and saw the Preachers here in Sydney at that keeps changing its name, the gig at Fox Studios.
Oh yeah, another one.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, pretty squishy, I have to say.
Yeah,
and it was just comforting. You know, they were on fire. It was at the end of their tour, and it brought back so many memories of like, oh yeah, I remember this. A band that's just done a lap around the country. They're on fire.
Yeah,
they're playing to a big, you know, sold out crowd at home. You know, okay, this is comforting. You know, but not enough of it. I'm afraid, not enough. You know, but that was brought back a lot of good memories of what gigs should be like.
I'd like to think that people rubbing a piece of glass with their thumb, trying to find that squirt of dopamine that they're going to get, that is infinitesimally, you know, comparable to what it is to go to a live gig with people that you don't know from your area who all know at least one song of this band. And now suddenly you're in a community. You're a part of something bigger because you're in a community and you may vote differently from that person over there, but you both know the words to this song. And that, the sort of thing that coheses us. And I really, you know, love that. Gee, I see her now. I've got this one-woman focus group. She looks for more kind of things to do that are not to do with her phone. She goes and does live interactive stuff with humans. And that, thankfully, I think will last. And it is something that I would encourage anybody listening. Like, if you haven't been to a gig for a while, just go to a fucking gig. Just go to a gig.
I know.
Go to a gig.
And, you know, sadly, you know, the economics of that space in a lot of these venues, they figured out that poker machines
Yeah.
was a bigger earner. But some venues, some pubs, and I have to say, like, the big, like say ALH or the other one that's like, it's either Coles or Woolies, I believe.
Yeah.
But the two big pub groups, they've actually kind of had some kind of turnaround to some degree where they've thought, right, so we've got the bistro, we've got the meat raffle, pokies, of course. Oh, there's some sports on the TVs. There was something else that used to bring people in. Oh, that's right, music, and tapping into that through their socials, that they've realized that, like, yeah, that's going to pay the rent and all that stuff, but unless they have that community that you just talked about, there's like sports, religion, music, brings people together.
Yeah.
And suddenly they're like, I'm going to go to that on Facebook or whatever, and community happens. That's their longevity. That's how that venue is going to survive.
Yeah.
More than just like the hard sell and just taking their money, extracting it out of their wallets. And so the ones that have realized that, it makes my heart sing. I hope there's more of a turnaround, because it just has to, like, you can't. Yeah, I mean, this country is phenomenal. Like when you think about it, like the amount of live music the amount of music we produce is insane. It really is. Like
we punch above our weight
to be
internationally.
said.
Yeah, we really do.
And then during COVID, to find out that Melbourne had the most gigs per capita was really comforting. But at the same time, it's like, well, I've been to Melbourne a lot, and there could be some more gigs as far as I'm concerned. But that says to me, it's like, wow, the rest of the world's a bit sad.
Yeah.
But still good news. But boy, we need to work on that. Like
Giving people a reason to come together. And a little bit uncomfortable. It's like this sweaty person's rubbing up against me, but I'm dancing and the lights are dark and we're so packed together, people can't see my dance moves, so I feel okay. And I can't sing that well, but it's loud enough that people don't notice.
Every time, I don't know about you, but you go into the Enmore, and you end up in that corner there where the PA is, every time. Because you walk in through that door.
Every time.
Because you've come at that time.
Yep.
And you're just like, there's the natural...
Sorry, support bands, I show up late. I'm sorry, guys.
There's a natural reaction to go, and then you just go, no, just live with it, just sit with it, And then lights go down, band comes on, and you're fine.
Yeah.
But there's that, because I'm not good. I love being a fan of music, because I still am. But there's that bit of like, no, I don't want to be I want to be up there. I don't like this, But then I just sort of like, I kind of just get into it, and then I see, the people are I'd like to think that there's more and more etiquette about, like, because I'm hearing like, excuse me, sorry mate, whereas when I started, it was just
elbows,
just this, It's a little bit more awareness of social of personal space now, which is a good thing.
And thankfully, a lot of these venues, particularly Enmore and other stuff like that, they do comedy, so they are kitted up to do the phones in bags things. Because I've heard stories about Silk Sonic, it was Anderson Park and Bruno Mars, their gigs.
So good.
Phones in bags, everybody.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. All right, this happens only once. We're playing here tomorrow night, but it won't be the same show because you're one here. We'll be different.
Yeah.
And there's something precious about creating something that will never, ever, ever happen again, which is what you're giving. When you're going on tour, people get a different show every night.
I call it musical ice sculptures.
Yeah.
Because impressive, and then just turn your head, and then it's just a puddle, It's gone, and you pack it up. It's always a surreal moment when I do a show, and then I get out of my clothes, and I go back out in the theater, and everyone's gone. It's just my crew. And I'm like, I just did something there. It's gone. It's just this like, just there's just something still just lingering around, but it's gone. It's going back in the Pelican case now and going in the van. Like, just get over it. Like, next one, you know? Like, you can't sort of, it's so, it's tangible, but not.
People who build houses get to drive past it and go, yep, that one, Or
even, like when you've, done something, mowed the lawn or something, it's like always nice to like have a look later and go, that looks good, I did that. Can't do that with gigs. Someone would say, why can't you record it or video
It's
it.
not
It
the
just
same.
doesn't. It's just not.
It's not the same. It doesn't smell like sweat and farts and
Yeah.
you know, burps and
Yeah.
it used to be durries.
Some sort of scent from the chemist warehouse.
Yeah, Shane Warne 23. No, but that's a part of it, and that's what makes it really beautiful. Is you really have to be present to be there, and so take your fucking phone out of your hand, because when you watch it back, it won't feel the same. And you know what? No. You're never gonna watch it back.
No, it's a funny
Ever.
one. Except
Put
my
your
wife.
fucking phone down.
Man, she's able to find in a heartbeat, just pull something up from her phone. She's like, it's got this like unbelievable archival memory. Incredible. She does look at everything. She really does. She's the one exception to that, and I agree. Like most people never look at it again. She will find it.
Man, I took Audrey to Splendor once, and I was like, I love this band. I didn't know they just looked like 400 GoPros on sticks that are doing this in the air.
Yeah.
It's like, you're never going to watch that. Put the fucking thing down. But thankfully, it's about, if you can get to a gig, keep your phone in your pocket, and just try to be with the discomfort of the presence of that humanity and tune into what is happening on stage, those audio signals coming out of the PA, the emotion from the performer, you're going to get something that you never get anywhere else. And that's what you're paying for. That's what your ticket money's for.
Yeah.
It's this emotional response that you cannot get.
I think a lot of it is FOMO. Like, it's, you know, it's kind of like, I want people to know I was here. The kind of whole thing of like wanting to sort of like share it with their friends and family. I'm going to guessing, you know, why they want to capture it so much. And it's just kind of like, you know, there was a time where it was Instamatic cameras.
Yeah.
That was it. They'd go and get it developed
in a month.
Yeah.
And forget they even did it. I always, when I would do the comedy shows, I would always tell people, it's like, just keep your phone in your pocket. A, because I don't want to get sued, because we're doing satirical political satire up here. But B, try to be with not touching this thing that you touch all day, and just try to be with the people around you. Mm. And like when people are coming into the room, I see them all next to each other, all right? Because you probably, in your earlier days, you played the gigs where the stage is here, and there's an empty dance floor, and then tables there, and there's this chasm. Yeah. You can't connect. So I put them next to each other, and as I'm putting them next to each other, it's like, you've already got something in common.
I call that the sharks swimming pool.
It's the worst.
Yeah, it's like there's no sharks there.
You're fine. I tell them all, I say, you both bought a ticket to this thing. You've already got something in common.
Yeah.
Sit next to each
there
other.
You go.
You'll be fine. And you get to be the steward of this community that you're, you get to go and sing songs and connect with them. They're connecting with you, telling them what songs they want to hear, asking you, here's the reason I want you to play Carly Rae Jepsen's Call Me Baby. It's because da-da-da-da-da. And you'll go like, maybe, what is it? Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I could do that. It's a great song. Thanks for coming around, man. I'm glad we chatted.
Thank you.